Let's go over to another massive SEC game. That's Eli's Volunteers, number 11 Tennessee, beating number 7 Alabama, 24-17. Let's go over the grades real quick before we hear from Eli after such an amazing win for his Vols. Tennessee's highest grade players: safety Will Brooks, 84.1. Dominic Bailey, the edge defender, at a 77.3. Caleb Perry, the linebacker, at a 75.9. Dante Thornton Jr., the receiver, at a 73.6. James Pierce Jr., the edge defender, at 72.7. And quarterback Nico Iamaleava with a 75.8 grade. Let's go over to Alabama with their highest graded players. Linebacker Deontay Lawson led the way with an 87.7 grade. Keon Sabb with an 80.4 grade. The safety, another safety, Malachi Moore at 80.1. LT Overton, the projected first-round pick in the draft according to our big board. The edge defender, 77.6. Bray Hubbard, a safety, another safety at 76.2. And Jalen Milroe with a 54.8 grade. So, Dalton, before we get to the stats, tell the story, the most impressive part. Eli, how are we feeling after this really season-saving victory it felt like for Tennessee?
We're feeling damn good. I mean, it couldn't get much better than that. I walked in cautious, but I thought the under was going to hit. Under hit. I thought Tennessee would score 24 if they won, and I was just 4 point off on Alabama. Kind of went exactly how you wanted. Saw Nico kind of settle in the second, and I mean, Sampson is kind of just the season MVP right now.
Yeah, Eli knows ball. Eli also was the only one of us to hit his upset pick of the week, too.
Oh, yeah. No, we've established that he's better than us.
He's way better than us right now, yeah.
He just doesn't feel like being on this side.
One of us has to go back there at the end of the season.
He likes to watch us just embarrass ourselves.
No, yeah, we suck. Yeah, absolutely. Dalton, for you, what was the stat that told the story in this massive Volunteers victory?
So, look, I got to be honest. He had it right in the preview when he talked about this game has to be kind of within this scoring range, right, and at a slow pace. And, look, Tennessee's a defensive team. I don't think it's a thing we thought we were going to say this year, but that's what they are. They haven't given up 20 points in any game this season, and they have to play this game at a certain pace with a super young quarterback who's still figuring things out. Nico was better in this game than he had been the prior few weeks. So the big thing, though, is, we were talking about this game at halftime, and I said, look, I know it's 7-0 Bama, but the pace of this game, this is how Tennessee stays in the game, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, they're down 7-0. That's not bad. They don't have to get away from the run. They can keep playing defense. Their defense is playing great. Milroe's missing a lot of throws. He's not playing great, right? And they just need to stay in the pocket and keep doing what they usually do, right? So what it comes down to me is the second half, like the guy Eli just mentioned, Dylan Sampson, and the run game, really getting this thing going. Second half rushing, all right, for Tennessee, 28 carries, 180 yards, 2 touchdowns. Alabama rushing 15 carries, 63 yards. Did get a touchdown, but it was just – you could feel all of a sudden Tennessee, there was a drive in the middle of the third quarter where they got a few explosive runs, a couple of them from Sampson, one from Nico himself. It jump-started them, right? They felt like, okay, this game was close. Alabama's not scoring on us. Their defense was comfortable. And when Tennessee gets into this run game and they can just complement the defense with that, we know they're not a home run hitting passing game right now, especially without play action. But they found a way to just keep grinding through, right? Okay, they got to halftime 7-0. They come out in the third quarter. They run the ball well. They get physical. They do the things that they need to do to win. Kind of the same way they beat Florida, admittedly, last week. But this is how Tennessee's going to win ball games. This is an elite defense. And again, one of the more unexpected stories is that Tennessee is not beating teams 45-42 like we thought they would in the preseason. They are beating teams 24-17 and 20-13 and all that. So, I look, this defense can stop anybody. Again, it's going to continue to be a thing. And again, Nico was better in this game. He was actually the better quarterback in this game at the end of it. If they can continue to just progress and find a little more each week out of them, this defense, this is one of the 5 best defenses in the country.
Yeah.
I mean, pretty easily right now. It's just, and it's unreal and it's not like James Pierce is grading a 95 and setting records. They're doing it across the board, and especially their back 7. I mean, it's just what they have found in the balance and the depth on this defense is incredible. And to hold Milroe, who, even before last week, and that took a great defense in South Carolina to slow down Milroe last week, we know Milroe can be an elite player, at least for stretches of games. He's one of the most explosive home run hitters. It just didn't have it. And even a lot of open throws he was missing. The pass rush was getting to him a bit. This Tennessee defense is elite. The run game complements it. Getting the run game going in the second half in a slow-paced game was the difference.
Even looking at, I know it's not a really direct comparison all the time, but like you look at what Alabama did against Tennessee, 17 points. They put up 41 on Georgia, and quite literally, Dalton, 3 minutes ago, we were saying how amazing the Georgia defense was against what has been one of the best offenses in the country in Texas, right? So 41 points Alabama scored on Georgia. and then they scored 17 against Tennessee. So absolutely, this is one of the best defenses in college football. Going into more Alabama on this side of it, though, mentioned that Georgia-Texas game, really the loser, one of the biggest reasons why Texas lost because Quinn Ewers was so bad. Jalen Milroe was really bad in this game as well. He was 0 for 5 on 20-plus yard throws in this game, and when you go back and watch all of them, they were all completely uncatchable. Didn't even give his receiver a chance to catch any of those passes. So many of them sailed out of bounds. So many of them just hit the dirt way before the receiver was even there. The accuracy or lack thereof is a significant problem in his game right now. Dalton, I think he is still raw as a passer. The tools are all there. He's one of the toolsiest quarterbacks, maybe the toolsiest quarterback in college football. But the games like this one, the games like South Carolina, they leave you wanting so much more, and leaves me, as if I was a GM of an NFL team, I'm worried about taking this guy in the top 10 to 15 of an NFL draft. I get the tools are there, and I get you're hoping for that like Anthony Richardson type ceiling, but I mean, we were both a little weary of Anthony Richardson coming out as well because we just saw, but the accuracy is just not there as well. There's so many times, especially when I was watching the first quarter and the first half when we were driving home from Louisville, Miami, we'll talk about it literally right after this, but watching it, it's like, dude, he's just missing Ryan Williams every single time. Like, Ryan Williams in the first quarter had 9 targets, but 3 catches. It wasn't his fault. None of those were his fault. It just felt like he just was missing Ryan Williams over and over again. And 0 for 5 on deep throws. This is an offense that relies so much on deep throws. You can't be going 0 for 5 on 20-plus yard throws because you have a head coach in Kalen DeBoer whose offense has always been predicated on those deep throws, and a quarterback in Jalen Milroe who wants to take those deep shots as well. So outside of that Georgia game, he has not really been proven to be capable of dinking and dunking to victory. He's a big play hunter, which is a double-edged sword because when it's hitting, it hits, and nobody can stop it. But over the last 2 weeks, he has not been hitting those throws. And again, this is why Alabama only put up 17 points in this game.
Yeah, you thought maybe he turned the corner in the Georgia game because, Kirby,
we thought it was like a Stroud moment.
Kirby blitzed him a ton like he should, right, and sped him up. And he played sped up, and he was fine, right? He processed things quick. He got to his hot reads. He did all the things you can do to beat the blitz. Now it's gone back the last 2 weeks when he's had to manage games and he can't hit all those home runs because that's still the book on him, right? Yeah. That was the one thing after the Georgia game I was like, okay, maybe you turned a corner. Do it again. And do it again and do it again. It's about doing it consistently week in and week out, right? It's great that he has the one and he put the one on tape. And that Georgia game leading up to the draft is going to be the biggest case for him to still get taken in the first round. But the rest of these games moving forward, both for him and for Alabama, at this point are going to be massive because now Bama's already got 2 losses now.
They can't lose again.
They can't lose again. And you've got Missouri coming this week who, they've been struggling, but they're also still in a decent spot with just 1 loss.
At LSU.
At LSU is playing really good football. I thought they played their best game of the season yesterday. We'll get there too. Bama's on thin ice all of a sudden. And if Milroe's going to be struggling, then I'm not sure what shot they have because their defense was better yesterday, but not great, especially in the second half, and it hasn't been great all season. Alabama, there's going to be a lot of conversations about them the next few weeks because it's not consistent right now, and it really rides with Milroe and his inconsistency.
Absolutely, and mentioned like that Alabama-Georgia game, we thought that could have been a C.J. Stroud moment where Stroud, remember in that playoff game against Georgia, ironically, he was creating so much outside structure, and we're like, wait a minute, where did this come from? Like, we never saw this before, and then that continued in the NFL. It wasn't just a one-off thing. We're hoping for Jalen Milroe that would continue after that Georgia game, and it just hasn't really been like that for him over the last couple weeks at least. We'll see what he does the rest of the year. And listen, Alabama, they're not done yet, right? They still have 2 losses. You can make the playoffs with 2 losses. If Alabama wins all their games the rest of the year, they will be in the college football playoff. But they have to win out. They can't lose another game in order to make the playoffs. So they are quite literally backs against the wall right now. But Dalton, what was the most impressive part of this Tennessee victory?
Just give you another contributor on this Tennessee defense that we've talked about a lot this year. I think we've pointed out some of the depth on the defensive line. You got Jermod McCoy at corner. Let me go to safety with their highest graded player, Will Brooks. 8 tackles, had a run stop. He's the guy who had the game-winning interception at the end off Milroe. The ball was a little behind, but it was a great play, undercutting that in route. 84.6 coverage grade. And for the season, leading the team with an 88.5 coverage grade. That's the 9th best of any safety in the FBS. I think, again, it just speaks to Tennessee getting contributions from so many spots on defense that we didn't think they would. Will Brooks, a really versatile player at safety who can cover really well, makes big plays for them. He gets the most impressive for me, especially for the game-sealing pick. That helps a lot for sure. But again, it just speaks to how well-rounded this Tennessee defense is. It's an elite unit right now at all three levels, and Brooks is a big help there at safety.
Absolutely. So my most impressive part is still on that defense is the Tennessee edge defenders in this game. James Pierce Jr. How about James Pierce Jr., man? 9 pressures against Alabama, 2 sacks, a quarterback hit, 29% pressure rate. I think this guy's back to being a top 10 pick.
He took over this game late.
He took over, man. And we loved him going into the year. We actually had him as a number 1 overall pick in our way too early mock draft directly after the 2024 NFL draft. And then it was a little slow from out the gate. We're like, okay, maybe he's more like a mid-first round pick, maybe a little bit later than that. No, I think he's a top 10 pick again. Dalton, actually, among all FBS edge defenders with 90 pass rushing snaps this year, he leads them in pressure rate at 23.3%. I actually couldn't believe that when I saw that stat initially. I will say the pass rush win rate, which we think is a better stat overall, hasn't been as high as it was last year. A lot of his pressures are cleanup. A lot of them are unblocked. But at the same time, he's producing for this Tennessee defense as well. So James Pierce Jr., 9 pressures, 2 sacks, a hit against a pretty good Alabama offensive line as well with 2 pretty solid tackles at least. So Caden Proctor is a very good one. And then Elijah Pritchard on the other side. And then Dominic Bailey as well. 5 pressures, 23.3% pass rush win rate, 2 quarterback hits, a tackle for loss as well. Joshua Josephs, 4 pressures, 18.2% pressure rate. This defensive line, specifically these edge defenders, are nasty, man. We all thought after they lost Tyler Barron, who went to Miami, who we'll talk about in just a second again, we thought that was a major loss for them. It is a big loss, but you have guys like Dominic Bailey and Joshua Joseph stepping up, and James Pierce Jr. is, again, starting to look like the superstar that we thought he was going into the year.
Absolutely. I mean, and if he continues to get rolling, because it's really been rolling better recently, I mean, we talk about some elite defensive lines this year, but Tennessee is in that mix, man. I mean, they have talent, they have depth, they can play the run and the pass. They've just been controlling games every single week, and I don't see any reason that's going to stop.